Hello, everybody. Let me get myself together on this camera so we can get the party started. All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. All right, let me share this out before we bring up our candidate. Give me 1 second to do all my things. All right. Make sure you send in your daily heart meme. And you're sharing this out. Let me. Boop, boop. Do. Make sure you're sending this out to all your peoples that they come through. Mr. Chase. Alrighty. Okay, I'll send this out to a few people. Okay. Hello, Andrew. Give me just 1 second. I got one more thing to send it out, repost. Make sure you're sending it out and reposting to your page, and adding to. Let's see, one more. Copy that.
Hello, everyone.
All right, there we go. I then sent out all my shares. Hopefully, we get everybody in here, and to listen to this great live. How are you doing today?
Minus the fascism, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
My sentiments exactly.
It's a loaded question these days.
People ask me all the time, "How are you doing?" I say, "Is Trump still in office?" Then that should answer your question. All right. Let's get you up on this big screen here. We like to put you on the main floor. Do you remember receiving a background in your email?
I probably did receive a background in my email and didn't think because I'm much more used to Instagram. I don't use TikTok all that often. So
No big deal. No, we're not even gonna worry about it. We're gonna roll with this today. I love your pictures in the background, so
Thank you.
that looks lovely. I'm good with that. Welcome, everybody. Again, make sure you're tapping that screen. Make sure you're sharing this out. Just hit the host box up there, hold it down, and just send to everyone that comes up. Let me move my screen over here. All right. So let me remind you and everyone else of who we are. I'm Melanie, first of all, but I go by Buttermel on here, my little TikTok name, but you can call me Melanie, the girl who wants to get me elected. All of that works.
I like that one. That one's pretty good.
Okay. So Our Vote Counts is a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states, backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to empowering voters, promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, accountability in these upcoming elections. Formed by a collective of electors, veterans, small business owners, students, and community advocates, Our Vote Counts represents the strength of unity across geography, race, and ideology. While our stories are different, our mission is the same: to ensure that every voice is heard and every vote truly counts. Through voter education, candidate outreach, and community engagement, we support leaders who are ready to serve the people, not special interests. By working across state lines and elevating local and national issues, we aim to increase voter turnout, inform public dialogue, and build momentum for lasting change. Our vote count is more than just a name, it's a promise, it's a movement, and a rallying cry for democracy. Together, we are shaping the future, one informed vote at a time. So thank you all again for coming tonight. We are talking with Andrew James Rice, who is running for a U.S. House seat from Connecticut's 3rd District. Welcome. Let me tell y'all a little bit of what I learned about Mr. Rice here. He is a Democratic populist who was born in Danbury, Connecticut. His father is a grandson of Irish immigrants, and his mother is the granddaughter of Italian immigrants. While with the exception of his magnificent putt, who I'm sure that's who you were just talking to, Yoshi,
Yep.
he is child free. Not because he's a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, but because of the uncertainty of this American society for his future children. Andrew is a scientist with a background in cellular and molecular biology. So he's a smart man, y'all. Look at
This is my
Yoshi!
magnificent mutt.
Hi, Yoshi! Hi! Yoshi's like, who is that talking to me? Yoshi, you come to hang out with us today? Yes, Yoshi. We're gonna get Daddy elected to the Congress. Okay, you
He's
come
my
with him.
policy advisor, and he always tells us that we're the underdogs in this campaign. I'm sorry.
Now,
My policies are
the
better than my
last part,
puns.
the last part is Andrew is inspired by such people and figures like FDR, Dorothy Day, Gandalf, and Yoda. So with that being said, my icebreaker to you is, what do those 4 people, you had more people, but what do those 4 people have in common that you look to them for inspiration?
Oh, no, I never actually thought of what they had in common. It's just usually, as I watch news, as I watch movies, as I read history, I just get inspired by different people and what they've done. So FDR is, he's inspired almost my entire platform, with the Economic Bill of Rights and ensuring that people have economic security, they have housing, they have education, they have food, water, shelter. And in 21st century modern broadband, we didn't have broadband 100 years ago, so he wouldn't have known about that.
Right.
Dorothy Day, I grew up Catholic, well, I was raised Catholic, but as the church hasn't always been friendly to gay people. And so Dorothy Day always looked past people's identities. And I really felt that she truly represented what Jesus Christ was all about, and spreading love and actually doing the hard work, and not just saying that she believed in Jesus Christ, but actually living his message and ensuring that people, got actually took care of people. And so I look to her for inspiration to try and remind myself that every day is about helping other people, not just myself. Gandalf, well, I know I said about Gandalf. He's let's see,
But I would say
fact
that what they all have in common is that they cared about mankind.
Yes, that is.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that. And Hobbit kind.
And Hobbit kind. And I don't know what Yoda was. What was he?
Yoda was in Star Wars.
I know. I mean, but what kind of creature was he? What kind of was that?
So in Star Wars, George Lucas never actually discloses what his creature is. It's an unknown. So he's just that green little goblin-looking thing.
Okay, so space kind. We could just
space guy, space goblin.
Exactly. Well, we see here that you are planning to represent about 8 counties.
Yep.
In Connecticut, District 3.
About 2 counties. Fairfield County and New Haven County encompass most of the 3rd district. It's 25 towns. The entire state of Connecticut's 8 counties.
Oh, okay. The entire My research team. I'm sorry. So, but District 3 only serves 2 counties.
Mostly New Haven County, and then a little bit of New Haven County, of Fairfield County. But it's
Okay,
about it's 25 towns and municipalities.
Okay, all right. With a population about 200, 741 thousand people. It looks like we got a good mixture. It says about 58% white, 13% black, 4% Asian, 20% Hispanic, about 5% other. So that seems a good mix of people. The minimum wage is $16.94, which is good. And District 3's minimum household income is about $91,000, which is not bad. I'll take that.
It's not bad, but the window is so skewed that I think there was a study done that in order for like a single person to live in this country, they would need to make $108,000 a year. And I'm like, that would be amazing. And 16.94 for minimum wage is okay, but like we really should be getting that to $30 plus, because if you look at I think the highest minimum wage was actually like 1968. And at the time, it was like $2.50. But if you adjust for inflation and productivity, it would be closer to $26, $27 today. And so, really, I think that we should have a minimum wage of $30 an hour and reducing the work week to 30 hours a week, because Jonathan Keynes back in the early 1900s predicted that with the technology the way it was progressing 100 years ago, that by this time we would have the technology we need to only work 20 to 30 hour work weeks, and we do have that. It came in the form of the computer and internet revolutions, but instead of that productivity, because I used to ask myself, what did people do in the office before there were computers and internet? And then I realized they just do the same exact thing that we do today. They just didn't have a computer and the internet to get all that work done. And so instead of using that technology to give that time back to the workers, the parasite oligarch class were like, you know what? We'll just have 2 people do the same job as 4 and just fire the other 2, and y'all are going to work the same 40 hours. Completely unnecessary. And that's why I get nervous when people are excited about AI, saying like, oh, AI is going to help us do our jobs. No. AI is going to replace us doing our jobs, because that's what happened 30 years ago with the computer revolution.
When the computer came, I was like, oh, wait, the computer can kind of make this go a little fast. Okay, then we don't need 4 people to do this. We only need 2. Yes. And now we don't even need actors. We could just put pictures in.
No. We need actors. We need actors. We need artists. And they can never convince me otherwise.
But then they could just, literally, somebody made me a song. I said, who sung that? They said, oh, it was AI. You don't even need a singer no more. AI can do you a whole album.
Why can't we have AI do like the tasks that people don't want to do, like the like dirty tasks that suck, versus
wash the clothes.
Like take out do the trash thing, like have AI pick up trash and sort trash so that a human doesn't have to do that, and give that time for a human to be creative and actually experience the human existence, which is a very unique and wonderful gift. And instead of having AI take over the art, no, give that to humans and have like people create things, because I don't want some AI slop to like just force feeding me a bunch of algorithmic whatever to optimize my attention span, and probably have more advertisements that subliminally make me want to be like, you know what, I could really go for a burger right now, even though I don't really eat burgers that often.
Exactly. But again, we live in a communist society, so instead of hiring 100 people to walk in the background of the movie, they're just going to AI generate the 100 people walking in the background of the movie. Unfortunately, that is what we're going to come to. I promise you that. It saves them money. They don't have to pay people.
Okay. So I have such an issue with the profit-driven motive. I feel like it's completely robbed us of our humanity. And so one thing that makes me hopeful about this year is that I'm not the only progressive that is running in this country. There's 100 or so others in different organizations. I'm a part of the Citizens Impeachment Courage for Democracy Coalition. There's like 110 of us with very, similar platforms: Medicare for all, abolishing ICE, affordable housing, affordable education. And then I'm part of another group called Reasoned Reality, which has around 70 candidates, a lot of overlap. But this year, there's actually a chance for us to change things, because it's not just, one or two or three people randomly spread in different districts. It is across the country. And so I know in Illinois, I believe on Tuesday, their primary is coming up. And so I'm encouraging everyone that supports me to support some of these other candidates in any way they can, even if it's just, sending them $1, reposting a meme or a post of theirs, maybe even phone banking, because if people like my policies and they want to see this campaign succeed once we're in Congress, we're going to need allies. And I have 100 allies, and we're all waiting with each other, working together, bouncing ideas off of each other. And if we can get even a handful, like half of us into Congress, we can really push for some change, because, we just got when, AOC got in there, Rashida Tlaib got in there, Ilhan Omar got in there. Yeah. Wonderful, powerful voices, but they're just 3 out of 435. If we can get 50, 60 of us in there, we can cause some ruckus and really demand some shit.
I'm going to say, because those 3 did get in there, that's how we hear. It was like, wait a minute, we letting some real people up in here that's going to make, put our feet to the fire. We got to stop this. So this is where we at today. We already got questions in the comment. I love it. Y'all keep the engagement up. If you do have a comment for Andrew, just put it in the comments or request up to ask him yourself personally. Either works for me. Right now, Boy Fresh, who is in Connecticut's 2nd district, wants to know, who do you think he should support in Connecticut's 2nd district, if you know?
Kyle Gauck. 100% Kyle Gauck he's your man. So I used to live in the 2nd district for half of my life, and I went to UConn, which is also the 2nd district. And I helped Joe Courtney get into office. I was on his, I helped campaign for him. I helped do voter registrations for him. And I've just been so disappointed by Joe Courtney. I've met Kyle Gauck on several occasions, and that man is just, he's so real. At the end of all of his videos, he always says, "I love you." And when I met him, it is such a genuine sentiment. And so you really check Boy Fresh, check him out. He is such a good guy. He really listens to people. He really cares about the small person and lifting up the working class. And as a gay man, I have felt nothing but support from that man in the LGBTQ community. And I know he'll have my back, and I have his back. So please check him out. He could use your help. And he's a really good man.
All right. Well, Boy Fresh, you got my favorite number there. I'm sorry, ma'am. 119 is my favorite number. So my apologies, please.
That's my birthday. That's my birthday, January 19th.
That's my birthday.
Hey!
Hi, Capricorn. No, I call us Capricorniuses. We're Capricorniuses, okay?
Hell yeah. Yes, I love it. We are Capricorniuses.
Yes. All right. So let me tell you how we do this a little bit. What we do is we do 5 topics that we will go over. And then in between those topics, we do rapid fire questions, which are just some questions. We got quick answers, 1 word, 1 sentence. So it kind of just rapid fire, right? Okay. And then we'll take, end it out with our last topic and tell everyone how they can support you. And then we'll go home, and hopefully we did our job. All right, so let's see. Let's go into the first topic, but let me double check this. Someone is already in the queue. Okay, Ms. Boy Fresh wanted to come up. How are you doing today? Welcome to the panel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Are you also a Capricorn?
I am. My birthday is 19.
Look at 119's up in here.
I need to buy a lottery ticket because this is
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
I know, right? That's wow. I never met three people all with my birthday, or two other people, should I say?
Right. Yeah, I just turned 40, but so I did look into Kyle Gawk. And at this point, anybody that's not Joe Courtney is who I want to vote for. Seriously.
Yeah, but as he said that Joe Courtney disappointed him. Is that what I heard you say? Okay, well, yeah. So
Yeah.
y'all are on the same page with that. Yeah.
Most establishment Democrats these days are just a complete disappointment, if not just garbage, and I want to just thinking of them, especially Hakeem Jeffries. Oh my goodness, I will never vote for that man to be the House Speaker.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah.
He's such a disappointment. He is such a disappointment. And I think Vance Bostic is actually watching right now. And
Yes, he
so
is.
Vance is our chance to defeat Jeffries.
Oh, good.
He
Let's
he
do
is.
that.
Well, Boy Fresh, stick around. Listen to the live as long as you can. We're gonna dive into some really deep topics, and hopefully, you can promote Andrew in Connecticut.
I most definitely will.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Boy Fresh.
All right, y'all. Go Capricornuses. All right. So our first topic is economics. Now, many Americans feel one emergency can push them into poverty. What federal policies would you support to protect families from sudden economic shock?
So, and first of all, we need universal health care. One of the largest drivers of going into bankruptcy is medical debt. People in this country should not be experiencing any sort of medical debt. Every other developed nation in the world has universal health care. They've never gone back on it. And this is America. So if other countries can do it, we can do it better. And so we shouldn't have people paying copays and premiums and deductibles. That in itself would save a lot of money. The other thing is we need to raise the minimum wage to, I believe, at least $30 an hour to ensure that people are able to afford to save money, because a lot of times people are working and living paycheck to paycheck. I also want guarantees of universal housing so that if for any reason you do come on hard times, you will always have a place to live. And I think that there should be a moratorium on evictions during times of hardship, and that during unemployment benefits should include a eviction moratorium, because just because you're down on your luck for a couple of months does not mean you are not a responsible renter or a responsible homeowner. And we can afford these things. And if you own a home and you lose your job and you can't afford mortgage, then there should be moratoriums on mortgage payments and having very low interest rates on those, because I understand that unfortunately we do live in a capitalist economy, and so there has to be profit, but we can limit that profit, and people should not be taking advantage of people that are down on their economic fortunes. But at the end of the day, the Economic Bill of Rights would also guarantee that people do always have some form of income that can supplement any moment of economic downturn.
Absolutely. Now, you proposed the Economic Bill of Rights to protect Americans from economic instability. This is in that format of these ideas.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And these are based off of FDR's proposals back in in his 1944 State of the Union address to the nation, the second Bill of Rights, or the Economic Bill of Rights. Because in the wealthiest nation in the world, people should not be homeless. People should not be hungry. People should not be thirsty. People should not worry about seeing a doctor, especially in 2026 America. We have the technology, we have the money, and instead of spending it here at home, we're sending it abroad, and we need to bring that money back so that we can have these programs that ensure that people have a safety net, that if they fall in hard times, they don't lose everything that they have built for themselves. It's just not fair.
Absolutely. Now, could public banks help finance small businesses, housing development, or infrastructure products in Connecticut?
So if you look at North Dakota, they actually have a state-owned bank, and they help with smaller projects and small business. And every year they have turned a profit and have returned those profits back into the citizens of that state. I want to adopt some. I would love to see something like that adopted in Connecticut, but that would have to be done on the state level. I would not have any influence on. Well, I wouldn't have any hard influence on that in the Congress, unless we legislate some sort of tax benefit for states that do implement a publicly owned bank. But I would not be opposed to reforming the Federal Reserve to have it be a publicly owned institution and not part private, part public, because the Fed has just been a huge cause of a lot of financial issues in this country because, again, they are a for-profit entity. And in government, I don't think you should be operating for profit. Government is about providing services and recovering that cost. And you just can't achieve that when you have to incorporate a profit-driven motive.
Right. Now, we was talking a little bit earlier about raising the minimum wage. And a lot of people who, I guess, kind of oppose the raising say it's because small businesses, mom and pop shops, probably would not be able to meet that a higher minimum wage. How do you think we can raise it without injuring the small businesses?
So large corporations have all of this excess profit that is not taxed. We need to close tax loopholes so that these conglomerate corporations and these billionaire oligarchs are paying into the system, and then the government can provide subsidies to these small businesses that will allow them to make up that difference. And then I believe so one of the things that you always hear about the minimum wage and mom and pop shops and whatever, people don't have money to spend at these businesses, and part of that is because the minimum wage is so low. So if we can subsidize that transition period so that these small businesses are not harmed by such a large increase in the minimum wage, I believe that once we get past that transition period, that then more people will have that $30 an hour that will then be spent back into the system. Because when you give the people who have the lowest amount of money more money, they're the ones that invest it back into their local communities, into their local small businesses, versus these large conglomerates and oligarchs that just sit on cash like they're dragons in some sort of medieval novel.
Exactly. That sounds like a great plan to me. So hopefully we can get that going. Again, I want to remind everyone, if you have any questions for Mr. Rice, please put them in the chat, or you can request up to ask personally. We are going to go right into education. He did that thing on the economy, so we're going to go into education. The federal Pell Grant program currently helps millions of low-income students afford college, but many say it no longer covers enough of tuition. You support doubling Pell Grants and expanding eligibility. How much of the average college tuition do you believe Pell Grants should realistically cover?
So in 1991, the Pell Grants used to cover around 91% of tuition. Today, it's only around 60%. I would like to see it get up to 95%. Because I do want, personally, I don't mind the idea of universal subsidized education, but I know that there's this line of thought that so when people suffer, there are two things that people do with it. They either never want another person to suffer like they suffered, or they want people to suffer exactly like that. And that is why student loan forgiveness has always been such a challenge, is because a lot of people are like, well, I paid for my student loans. I paid for this. Why is it fair to me? I don't necessarily buy into that, but at the end of the day, you do have to be pragmatic in certain areas. And so I believe by getting it up to 95% and reducing student loan interest to 1%, that would help create a much larger coalition that could get something over the finish line that could actually substantially help people with their finances, versus having a promise of free education and student loan forgiveness that we've seen tried and failed, especially with this Supreme Court. If we can get more people on board to deliver this relief quicker, that's an avenue that I want to pursue.
Absolutely. Mac, one of our favorites around here, said, wait, would that be tuition at state institutions or private schools?
So first we'd have to focus on state and public institutions. We would have to, because at the end of the day, we do need to have the money to afford all of this. And I believe if we reduce the military, the Imperial War budget and tax the billionaires, that we will have more than enough money to cover some of these things. But the priority would be on public education. And if the thing I like to see with private institutions is have some of those private loans or private tuitions taxed. That way we can subsidize more of that public education. Because if you're sending your child to a private institution, you most likely will have the funds to pay for that, or you're going to have, the IQ that's, just way higher than I could ever imagine to get those kind of grants and loans that other people wouldn't otherwise have. But for me, public education is always the focus, because public education ensures that everyone, regardless of their socioeconomic status, has the opportunity to pursue their dreams in this country.
Absolutely. That sounds like common sense to me. Now, well, hold on, let me make sure. Okay, so the federal direct student loan program has millions of borrowers paying interest rates between roughly 5 to 8%. You've proposed allowing borrowers to refinance student loans at 1% interest. How would that program work in practice? And would this refinancing apply only to federal loans? Okay, so that's what you kind of just explained, right? Or to the private student loans as well. So that's kind of what you just explained, which I guess you had already went into my next question.
So the private loans could be, the government has the money to buy out the interest on these loans. And so, yes, I would even argue that for a situation like this, private loans could be refinanced at 1%. The government buys out the loans to the private insurers and then has the borrower pay back the principal with 1% interest. And I would also like to see that interest retroactive, because I know a lot of people that, they take out $30,000 in student loans, and then 10 years later, after paying $30,000, they still have $30,000 left to pay, because that is how outrageous these interest rates are. And so the 1% I would like to see retroactive back to the first day that loan was issued.
Okay. Now, Joe Biden tried to forgive loans and got major pushback on it, went even to the Supreme Court. Do you think that we should still pursue loan forgiveness, or is there just some way to reform it so that, as you just said, that like maybe the interest isn't so high on it, so people actually have a chance to pay it back?
Given what we saw under the Biden administration with this Supreme Court, I don't think that we're going to be able to pursue student loan forgiveness that would wipe away just all loans immediately. And so to ensure that people are actually getting relief quickly and now, that's why I'm focusing on the 1% interest rate, because I believe that could get much more public support because of that, group of people that want to see other people suffer the way they do. Again, I don't agree with it, but I'm just trying to operate realistically to get people relief fast.
Absolutely. I mean, I often also think about people later in the future. Like if, someone be like, well, them people didn't have to pay for their schooling. Why are we still charging me? Like, how do we keep this up? Right. So that's where I'm kind of on the fence about the loan forgiveness too, because then I'm like, well, what about the people in the future? How do you explain them? Like, I know as a kid, I always was like, well, mommy, she got this. Why can't I get that? So I'm sure the future generations would wonder why they have to pay for school if the generation before them did not have to. Right.
But I mean, education is an investment in our own country, because when you invest in children's education and you teach them how to critically think and be creative and to build something off of that creativity, that is how we, that's how we got the radio. That's how we got to the moon, is because we had educated people who could contribute to society because you had a society that invested in them first.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about these student loan vouchers. Not student loans, the school vouchers that is happening all across the country, where the public money of the vouchers is going to private schools.
Nope.
How do you feel about that?
No.
No.
Ew. So I don't remember which Nordic country it is. It might be Norway, but in Norway they actually banned private primary schools, and so what happened was school literacy rates, math understanding, all of the metrics of schooling dramatically increased because the rich people were now forced to pay into the public school system, and the rich people wanted their children to get the best education. And the side effect of their children getting the best education was that all children got the best education. To me, the voucher program, it sounds great in theory because, you want to give people choice and opportunity, but all it does is it eventually leads to public and, people who are of lower socioeconomic status not having a choice to send their kids to school. Because when you have these voucher programs and that money's not going to public education, you see these buildings start to break down. You see, books that are 10 years out of date. You see schools without the newest technology. And so it really just pushes education to, the private sector, where only the well-off and the wealthy can afford to send their kids there. And so it's just what is it? It's like what is that thing with the horse? The Trojan horse. It's a Trojan horse, I think, designed to destroy public education in the long run, and we should not be having these school vouchers.
Absolutely. The other side often talks about common sense. And common sense to me is that you take the said money, and instead of giving it to this individual, that individual, to go to some sort of elite school, you make all the schools elite.
Yes!
Common sense.
You get it?
What?
You get it?
That's common sense. But no, somehow, give it to the kids that need to go to the great schools. No, make all the schools great with the same money. Thank you.
So when anything doesn't make sense, the question I always ask myself is, who's making money off of this and how? And that's always what it boils down to, is Absolutely. How is someone making money off of this?
Now, Vance kind of brought me back to the plan, and he said that to my point of the future generations saying why I have to pay and they didn't. He said, but the idea is that we won't have future generations paying for school, so they won't have loans either. Also,
if we can move to a society where things are subsidized 100%, and so I don't like using the word free. Nothing is free. It's earned. It's an earned benefit. The working class is who built this society. It's who sustains this society. And so I don't believe in free healthcare and free education because it's not free. We paid for it. We just don't get to see what we paid for because we have to add these gangster middlemen in the middle so that random people can just profit from being Nepo babies.
Absolutely. Mac also said, would you put back the safeguards against predatory lending by publicly traded universities?
Sorry, repeat that, please.
So he said, would you put back the safeguards against predatory lending by publicly traded universities?
Yes, there should not be any sort of predatory practices going on, especially with, these are 16, 17-year-olds that are, hopefully they'd have, parents guiding them. But, I think that's even something wrong with our primary education is that, people are expected to go to college to earn a degree. But then, at least when I was in high school, there really wasn't much talk about the whole process of getting student loans, what it means, how do you even look for these predatory practices. And so I think part of it is doing a better job at educating our children in a early phase in the primary school and high school systems to ensure that when they do make these kind of decisions, that they are well informed. because that I think that's where a lot of these issues come from, is that there's just not full disclosure, and there's not we just don't educate people enough to be informed. And again, I feel like that is designed on purpose to maximize the probability of someone earning a gross amount of profit from, predatory practices.
Absolutely. Now, how big is your push going to be on adding back more technology driven resources and courses and institutions for the kids who don't want to go to college? How big is your support in that?
Oh, so I don't think that people should have to have a college degree in order to be able to have a job that not just they can survive off of, but that they can thrive off of. And so I'm totally open to the idea of funding vocational schools, trade schools, because there are a lot of things like some people just don't have the college mentality, and that is fine. Everyone doesn't have to have that. There are so many skill sets that people can learn that can be very useful for society. And so, I got my career has always been in science. I still need people helping me to do the things that I don't know how to do, because science didn't teach me how to, do plumbing or electricity or air conditioning. And if I'm going to do my science, then I need someone to give, my lab electricity and air conditioning and plumbing. And so even if you're not, this is just an example in science, even if you're not directly contributing to the science, you're still helping science by using those skills to ensure that the people that are doing the science don't have to also know how to do air conditioning and plumbing and electricity. And because at the end of the day, we are a society, and the idea that anyone can do anything alone, to me, is just a fallacy. Because when I don't work anymore. I did quit my job to run for office. Not the best financial decision of my life, but that's a different story. But when I did go to work, I bought my car, but I'm not the one that ordered the metal to frame it. I'm not the one that got the rubber to make the tires. I'm not the one that designed the computer chips. I'm not the one that, laid the tar that allows me to get to my office building, which I didn't build. And so it's like everything we do relied on dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of people before us and during us. Like, we all are working together, whether we like it or not, or realize it or not.
Absolutely. And in addition to that, as we was talking earlier, those are kind of things AI cannot also take away from us. I don't know how they would make AI tar a street.
Yeah. Well,
that would be wild.
I mean, I guess I would prefer the AI to tar a street than to write a song or make a movie or pretend like they're an actor.
I hear you. Look, like you said, the work we don't want to do, right? Who wants to be out there with that sticky tar all day? All right, so let's go into our first rapid fire. These are some fun political questions, so we see where you are on this spectrum. Term limits, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, for everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Congress, Senate, Judiciary, especially the Supreme Court.
All right. What should we invest in first? Infrastructure or technology?
Infrastructure.
Okay. Should we tax the rich more or cut taxes for everyone?
Tax billionaires out of existence.
Oh, wow. Okay. Who should have control over education, the feds or the state?
States.
Oh, okay. Should there be more SCOTUS seats?
Yes. 13, one for each federal district, circuit court.
13 for each district.
So there are 13 circuit courts in the United States. There should be one Supreme Court justice for each of them.
And that makes sense to me. This is a bill that was presented to you. There will be $10 million given to every district for education. But also in this bill, it includes adding the 10 commandments to all schools, posting the 10 commandments to all schools. Are you a yay or nay?
No. Separation of church and state.
You're not. That's a nay on that bill.
No,
But I want. Andrew, I want my 10 million for my district.
Well, so I can give you 50 million for your district if we fully fund the IDEA program, the Individuals for Disabilities and Education Act, which is supposed to give for every dollar a municipality pays for special education funding, the federal government's supposed to subsidize 40% of that. It's only ever been subsidized at around 10 to 13%. And there's actually a bill in Congress called the Fully Fund IDEA Act that is sitting there waiting for people to push that across the finish line. And Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, who I'm looking to unseat, has not co-sponsored that bill. I will.
And there you have it, people. All right. What is the biggest issue facing your community right now?
Affordability and ICE.
Affordability and ICE. One word to describe your leadership style.
Empathy.
Good job. And if you had a campaign theme song, who's singing it?
Well, it would be Mr. Brightside by the Killers.
And so, Mr. Brightside's the artist?
That's the name of the song. The Killers, they are my favorite band, so they would be singing my campaign song.
Oh, okay. Well, the Unalivers it is, but we can't say that word on TikTok.
The Unalivers.
The Unalivers. All right. So again, I just want to remind the audience, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I will pose those questions to Andrew. Or you can request up by hitting the little two people at the bottom and ask him yourself. Now we are going to go into healthcare. Many Americans delay care because the cost, even when early treatment could prevent serious illness. You proposed guaranteeing preventive and life-saving medical care for every American. How would this guarantee work within the current healthcare system?
So we need to completely revamp the current healthcare system, and we need to get rid of the private healthcare industry because that is just what is causing a lot of these premiums to skyrocket. The healthcare, it shouldn't even call healthcare. It should just be called sick care. I think I've heard that one before, because at the end of the day, the healthcare market is a for-profit driven market. And so in science, and especially in medical science, we're not trained to push for preventative medicine. We're not really trained to push for curing. We're pushed for treatment because treatment is lifelong. It is profitable. And so we need to remove the profit-driven motive and decommodify the health insurance market and pass something like Medicare for All, which would actually save the American taxpayers $450 billion.
Mm-hmm. We like the sound of that. Say that again.
There was a study done in the Lancet that if Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All bill was passed, it would save taxpayers $450 billion while guaranteeing everyone coverage with the healthcare in America.
Well, then that kind of goes into my next question, that medical debt affects millions of Americans and can cause credit damage, limit housing access, and prevent financial stability, which would make you sick all by itself, right? You support forgiving medical debt.
Yep.
What mechanisms would you have in the federal government to eliminate and reduce that debt?
And so it could just even be a tax return. When you file for the IRS, you provide receipts of the medical debt that you have, and then the government will have a program of money set aside that can then be used to reimburse people to pay off that medical debt.
Okay. Now, should this debt forgiveness apply to all medical debt, or should it have income limits?
That is a great question. I would imagine if you have enough money, then you don't have medical debt. So I assume you just would, I can't imagine a millionaire having medical debt, because if they're a millionaire, they probably have health insurance and are
So
probably...
that would be your limit, $1 million. You have to be a millionaire not to qualify.
I mean, I think we should eliminate all medical debt. I would have to think further, though, if there would be income limits on it, because again, I can't imagine if someone has that much money that they're carrying medical debt with that kind of money, because at the end of the day, all these people are going to come for they will, garner your wages, and they'll come after you. So I just imagine if you are, a millionaire, you're not sitting there with medical debt. But that's something that I can look into more. Or if someone knows the answer, please let me know, because I can't pretend to know everything.
Right. I mean, I think even if I'm making $500,000 a year, I might still have medical debt if I had to have back surgery, or I'm dealing with cancer at the moment and the chemotherapy bills are just racking up. I may still have some medical debt even at 500,000. So if your limit is you cannot be a millionaire once you're making $1 million a year, I'm with that.
Until I'm able to study that further, we'll say around $1 million is the cutoff.
Okay, but Tony Braxton had $1 million in medical debt. Oh wow, yeah, she had lupus. I think. So
Doesn't have health insurance?
the singer Tony Braxton.
Yeah.
I don't know if she have health insurance or not. They don't have a health plan with Stardom. Like it's not. So she could have had one. I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't come. Like a regular job, they offer benefits that doesn't necessarily come with being a singer. So she might have to get her own, and she didn't. I don't know, but I know she, if I'm not wrong, I believe she has lupus, and that could definitely run up some medical bills. But I'm still with you. You a millionaire. You don't need no debt relief.
Sometimes it is hard to manage policy based off of like a strict $1 million. A lot of it would, I think, have to boil down to a ratio of what you have to pay into those medical debt versus how much like liquid cash you have on hand. Because if you have $1 million of medical debt, but you have $10 million in the bank, well, okay. If if you're an artist and you have $50,000 of liquid cash and $1 million of medical debt, well, that's a different story. Even though you're rich I guess you're not rich, but you're famous. So there are sometimes we do have to be careful about not making things too black and white and ensuring there are some room for nuances, because there are I can imagine there are situations where something like that could fall through the cracks and someone who should be having that attention given to them is not, because of just a flat number that doesn't truly mean anything. But for the sake of argument, around $1 million sounds good.
Okay. Now, some patients prefer alternative approaches to healthcare. You suggesting expanding coverage to include naturopathy
and chiropractic.
Okay, treatments. Say it one more time.
Naturopathy and chiropractic.
Okay, you're going to have to explain what those are. Why do you believe these services should be included in national health care coverage?
So first of all, I do like giving people as much choice and options for what they think is best for their medicine. I still believe that. So I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, do you believe in quack science?" And so, I don't believe in homeopathy, but naturopathy has a more holistic approach that includes things like diet and exercise, and just some basic things that a lot of even allopathic doctors, I don't believe, are trained in any sort of nutrition. And so a lot of it boils down to what happened to me personally. I have peripheral neuropathy. When I first got it, the Western medicine, I had an issue with my feet and an issue with my hands, and they treated it as separate conditions. And they should not have done that, because they were actually both related. And they, instead of having the actual an actual treatment plan that would have helped me, they actually put my hands in. They thought I had carpal tunnel, and so they had my hands, in a cast, immobilized, and that was the worst thing that could have been done for someone with peripheral neuropathy. You're supposed to keep it in motion. You're supposed to have, the physical therapy to ensure that you maintain that mobility. So had they actually taken a naturopathic holistic approach, I might have been spared from a lot of pain and suffering that I otherwise had to go through because Western medicine wouldn't look at it in a holistic approach. The other issue that we have to contend with is the fact that allopathic medicine was derived and developed in a capitalist market that pushes for profit. So a lot of, Western medicine is why we have the opioid crisis. And a lot of Western medicine focuses on treatment instead of curing, because again, Western medicine is based off a capitalistic system that does push for nonstop profit. And so I believe in having a more balanced approach where people can seek the treatment they are, but to have doctors that understand and can educate and inform people. Because at the end of the day, people do need to, I think, have full disclosure and make informed choices. And so, I do consider myself to be science driven. And I know a lot of people say, well, there's not enough science to support this. There's also not a lot of science done in general for any of these things because the capitalist society has pushed the Western standard of medicine and has heavily focused on researching that. I think we do need to expand research into some of these other, techniques that have been around for thousands of years. Like, so, take acupuncture. I was doing acupuncture, which was actually very helpful for my neuropathy, but I had to pay out of pocket for that.
Mm-hmm.
I was seeing results, I was getting results, but I still couldn't get my insurance to pay for it. I couldn't even get my, the FSA to pay for it. That's my own money. That's my money, and I still could not use my own money for a treatment that was actually doing wonders for me. And I had to stop doing it because I just couldn't afford it despite paying into the FSA system.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I'm over here trying to think of what they said they were, they had went to the doctors for, but the doctors all basically, sleep apnea. So he wanted to get testing done for that or whatever, but I guess from the doctor's findings, it wasn't severe enough that the insurance company would pay for it. I'm like, so you basically have to almost unalive in your sleep to get medical care for sleep apnea? It's crazy.
I mean, so I've had issues with the health insurance companies. My doctor wanted to put me on a medicine as an off-use label, and the insurance company would not go for it. They're like, no, you have to try at least a second medicine in the same drug class as the first medicine. That wasn't working for me. And that second medicine, my doctor was like, he's not going to react well to it. Sure enough, I didn't react well to it, and I had to be hospitalized. And then they had to give me the medicine that my doctor wanted me on in the first place.
In the first place.
I was eventually put on. So I'm like, so instead of listening to my doctor who has, taken courses and knows what he's talking about and knows who I am, I had to take the advice of some schmuck in the insurance company who is a paper pusher and not a trained physician and take their advice. No, this is why we need to get rid of the private health insurance industry, because it's there to make profit, not to actually provide medicine.
Agreed. Yeah, we need a whole revamping of this healthcare system. We need a whole revamping of our educational system. We need a whole revamping of America, okay?
Yes, and we can do it. We have the resources, we have the money, we just don't prioritize it because most of our Congress is owned by military industrial, the Imperial War Complex, and they receive hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout their careers. And so, like, for example, my own Congresswoman, Rosa DeLauro, takes money from L3 Harris, Honeywell International, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, General Dynamics, and all of those contractors are making a fortune off of all the bombs that we're dropping currently in Iran in an illegal war for oil in Israel.
Right. Yeah. Hey, I think if the Trump administration said we're ending U.S. aid in order to put money back into the schools, most people probably wouldn't have had a problem to say about that. Like, okay, well, yeah, the money's coming back to us. But we don't even know what happened to this money.
Oh, I know what happened to it. It went to the billionaire oligarch pedophiles in the Big Beautiful Bill Act, where they cut their taxes from 10% to whatever percent.
That
I think
part.
the corporate tax rate used to be 30%. I think it was at 15%, and then they lowered it even more. And it's just like you have these corporations making multi-millions, billions of dollars of profit while people are starving, and it's just like, what is going on? It just seems that when they say America first, they mean corporate America first, not working class America first.
That well that part. All right, so let's talk about constitutional duties. Okay, you suggested the incumbent represents 21st century thinking, 20th century thinking for 21st century problems.
Mm-hmm.
What policies or decisions specifically make you say that?
One thing that she has done is the earned income tax credit, which I know has helped a lot of people, but to me, that is just a band-aid for a broken bone. It helps people get out of poverty, but it doesn't really help them to do much beyond that. We need to reimagine the entire system and, have that 70 to 80% income tax rate on highest earners. We need to cap CEO pay to only be 30 to 31 times the lowest paid employee. Back in like the 50s, it was I think 40 or 50 times the lowest paid employee. Now CEOs are earning 400 times the amount that their lowest paid employee goes. And so a lot of times these policies are designed to treat the symptom of a problem, not the problem itself. And that's what I mean by 20th century thinking for 21st century problems. We have problems, and instead of addressing them, we're just addressing the symptoms of those problems. We need to be addressing things at the root of the issue, and that is just the fundamental lack of any sort of accountability or regulation that ensures that people who are very well off are paying back into the system that they have benefited the most from.
Absolutely. Now, you have criticized the incumbent for receiving funding from the, I guess that's APAC. AIPAC, is that the same thing? I'm not sure. What concerns do you have about lobbying groups playing a role in congressional campaigns?
So I love Star Wars, and Obi-Wan Kenobi is another one of my inspirations. And in episode 2, he says, I've often found that senators appease those who fund their campaigns. And so if you're receiving $100,000 from AIPAC or $100,000 from these Imperial War contractors, I don't have confidence that when you are making decisions, that you are making them in the interest of your constituents and not in the interest of those corporations that continue to give money. And one of the most stark examples of that is ICE. I abolish ICE. We need to abolish ICE. We need to abolish it yesterday, if not 10 months ago, if not 20 years ago when it was first established. But Rosa DeLauro takes money from AT&T, she takes money from L3Harris, and she takes money from General Dynamics. Mm-hmm. All three of those corporations have contracts with ICE, meaning they profit off of ICE's existence. And Rosa DeLauro has been vehemently opposed to abolishing ICE. So when you accept money from these lobbyists that are, working for these corporations that get money from ICE's existence, is your position on not wanting to abolish ICE what you truly believe is what's in the best interest of your constituents, or is what is in the best interest of the three companies that continues to give you $10,000 a year? And as a grassroots funded candidate, I can tell you it would be much easier to get $10,000 from one company than it would to get 1,000 people to give me $10 each.
That's true. So, would you support reforms to reduce the influence of lobbying organizations in federal elections?
Yes. I personally want to, we need to overturn Citizens United. That was one of the most disastrous decisions for our democracy. I would ban lobbyists from being in the halls of Congress. When Congress people are making legislation and policy that are affecting the public, it should not be lobbyists with corporate interest at mind. It should be experts in the fields guiding federal policy to ensure that we are benefiting society and not just profit corporate interests. And I also would put a ban on members of Congress from becoming lobbyists after they leave, because a lot of times that's what happens. The politicians, they manipulate the system from within, then they know how to do it, and then they go, instead of making $174,000 a year, which is a huge salary, they'll go and make $1 million a year, because then they can work with a corporation and they'll know how to do the ins and outs of the lobbying, what Congress people they need to focus on, the words to say, and it's just like, no, government is for the people and corporations are not people, despite what Mitt Romney or the Supreme Court says.
Well, we also talked a lot about banning stock trading. You're on board with that too?
Yep. Yes. There's a bill in Congress called the Restore Trust in Congress Act, and Rosa DeLauro is one of the Congress people that has not co-sponsored that. So again, that makes me question, are your decisions being influenced by the information that you can pass along to someone else to make you money, or are your decisions influenced by what is best for your people?
Right. Now, I asked you earlier about, in our rapid fire, about term limits, yes or no, and you said yes. So do you believe that long-term incumbency leads to a disconnect between Washington and the needs of the voters, as DeLauro has served since 1991?
Yes. Yes,
I mean, you can elaborate on that, like if you like.
So I mean, when you're part of a system for 35 years and you've never been challenged in a primary, you don't have to actually ask questions. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to defend your policies. You don't actually, and then when you start accepting tens of thousands of dollars from corporations, you don't have to be in the community getting support, because your name recognition just carries you through the elections. And so at some point, I know people argue that, well, it's people's choice to, want to have an incumbent there for 31 years. Look at what's happened. Look at what happened. Our country just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And people, if these incumbents were actually doing good, then why does our country suck so much right now? Like, why are the conditions rapidly deteriorating? If experience and seniority were everything, then why don't we have everything instead of next to nothing?
Exactly. Now we have Miss Q, who's in the audience. She is a Connecticut resident. She said she's in District 5, though. She said, I like him. Let's grab a coffee.
Yeah, girl, let's grab a coffee.
He's my birthday twin too, Q. He's my birthday twin. So I'm in my office and the light keeps going out, so I have to jiggle it back on. All right, so we're going to go into my second rapid fire, and these questions are fun. These are not political at all.
Okay,
it's just
cool.
kind of like what you prefer. So let's see if we could get to know Andrew a little better. Gold or silver?
Silver.
Okay. Bagels or toast?
Bagels.
Anything on it?
Cream cheese. Poppy seed bagel with cream cheese. Toasted.
Okay. Tattoos or piercings?
Tattoos. I have 3.
Okay. Christmas or birthday?
Christmas.
Okay. Would you rather go out of space or the bottom of the sea?
Space.
Are you using bar soap or body wash?
Bar soap.
White bread or wheat bread?
Wheat bread.
Your favorite place in Connecticut?
I would have to say Jufrida Park in Meriden.
Jufrida Park, y'all. Jufrida Park. Okay, here come the hard questions.
Uh-oh.
Huskies, Blue Devils, or Chargers?
Huskies.
Okay. Lobster roll or clam chowder?
Clam chowder.
Steamed cheeseburger or hot dog with peppered relish?
Cheeseburger.
I mean, this y'all thing, steamed cheeseburgers? What is a steamed cheeseburger?
It sounds better. I don't like relish, so we're going with the steamed cheeseburger.
It's a peppered relish. I don't know what peppered relish is, but apparently y'all like
that
them
makes me
on
like
hot
it even
dog.
less. It sounds like It sounds like I'm not going to have a good time the next morning with fiery stuff down there, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. Last one. Snickerdoodles or cannoli pie?
I'm Italian, so cannoli, obviously.
So I had did a little research on the Connecticut foods, and apparently y'all make a pie out of cannoli ingredients. I said, oh, well, isn't that something? I think I might want to try that because I do love a cannoli.
So I make my own cannoli, and
Okay.
they are fantastic.
Well, you're gonna have to ship me some. I don't believe you until I tried it. So, but we here, I live in the DC area, and our malls have a place called Great Cookie, and they make the best snickerdoodles. When I say the best, they make the best snickerdoodles. They have been around for over 30 years, and I think they're the only thing keeping the malls open. These
So when I'm elected to Congress, I'll bring you some of my cannolis, but then you better bring me some of these snickerdoodles, and we'll do a trade.
we will do a trade. Yes, a great American cookie. Yes, sir. Um, in Abington Mall, in Forestville Mall. So that's a deal because my plan is when the 120th class is sworn in, I'm going to be there so I can say hi to all of my candidates that I helped put there. I promise you, I'm going to be there.
I'm gonna. You better keep your word. I expect you there next January 3rd.
We are trying to make the whole OVC team be able to come, so that's our goal. So last topic we are going to talk about is immigration. Now, you talked a little bit about your parents, your grandparents, great grandparents being immigrants to this country. I think people often forget that this country was started by people who came from England.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the immigrants started the country, but somehow now we don't like immigrants. Okay, you have we talked about opposing the ICE people already. So let me would you want to abolish them and not reform it? Because it is my opinion that we do still need some sort of force, and I use that word lightly, to police people not obeying the law when it comes to immigration. So how does the reform look?
Abolish ICE. It is a paramilitary force that is conducting state-sanctioned violence, and it cannot be reformed. Before there was ICE, there was the Immigration and Naturalization Services. That still had some of its issues, but I think that something like that can be reformed. And at the end of the day, being in this country undocumented is only a civil offense. It is not a criminal offense. And so if you're a criminal, you're a criminal. I don't care if you're an American citizen, you're an immigrant, you're committing a crime, you're committing a crime. And that is what we have local police departments for. So if there is someone committing a crime, the police will respond to that crime. And if they find that criminal is an immigrant, the police department can then refer that person to, the INS, a reformed INS. I don't believe that ICE is necessary. I feel like it is a redundant policing force. And I also don't necessarily believe that ICE was truly ever intended for immigration. I believe that it was eventually intended to be used against us as citizens. Part of that's already being proven by the fact that Steve Bannon is saying that he's going to have ICE positioned at the polling locations. It was always intended to be used against us, and it was just, called Immigration and Customs Enforcement to help the American people swallow that pill when it was first introduced in 2003.
Yeah. So we don't need to get rid of the border control, just the enforcement that goes out.
So the technical definition of the border is 100 miles from either another country or the ocean. So I believe 67% of Americans technically live on the border.
Well, okay. Well, then, but we still need to patrol it, right? Maybe? No?
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely think, there should definitely be some sort of patrol along the actual borders. I don't think that we need to have this paramilitary force conducting these sweeps around the country. But the other issue, though, is a lot of immigration is caused by our own terrible foreign policy. We conduct a lot of imperial wars, a lot of, CIA. Anytime a country wants to nationalize their resources or they don't really go with what the capitalist class wants them to do, the CIA typically will overthrow those governments, instill these, right-wing paramilitary governments that destabilize these countries, that create unsafe conditions, that deprive those people of the resources they need to live comfortably and safely in those countries. And so they have to flee their country. And then that puts strain on other countries. And then those countries have people flee. And it is just this ripple effect that eventually reaches back up to us. Because a lot of times the people that are fleeing into this country are from countries that we overthrew their government. And
Right.
so, if someone came into my house and took all of my resources, I would probably go to where they took those resources so that I could claim some of them back. So if we
Come
stop
knocking on your
destabilizing,
door.
yes, if we stop using our military to destabilize all these countries in the world, we would see a reduction in immigration into our country because people wouldn't feel the need to have to come to the imperial core to recollect the resources that were stolen from them.
Right. And so again, as we were talking about, the things that an enforcement would need to be available for, which one of the things is, people overstay their visas, or they do get a ruling that their asylum isn't valid and they would need to go, or they went to court because of their visa or something and it was overturned, whatever. So they were told they needed to, their stay here was revoked and they need to leave, right? Unfortunately, right now, what's happening is a lot of those people haven't even gotten to that point, right? And they're already being kicked out of this country.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the significant things is the backlogs. Should immigration courts become independent courts rather than being a part of the Justice Department?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I honestly don't have an answer for that, but we definitely need to be providing more resources and hiring more immigration judges and having we shouldn't have people in detention centers. We should be able to house these people, even if it's just like, dorm room style housing in colleges where people aren't sleeping, 10 people to a room. And if we can do it for, colleges, we're America. We can do anything we set our minds to. We've shown that by getting to the moon before any other country. And so if we provide the resources so that people can be processed quickly and humanely, that is something we have to look at. If that can be achieved by keeping the immigration courts under the purview of the Department of Justice, then I don't see any reason changing that. On further review, if something suggests that we can optimize this procedure by removing them from the Justice Department, then I'm open to that. But that is something I'd have to research more before providing a concrete answer.
Okay, good. Now, Connecticut communities, and you said this earlier that the biggest issue for your community is facing is the ICE people. Communities include cities like New Haven, are home to many immigrant families. What immigrant policies would you prioritize to ensure immigrant communities in Connecticut 3rd District feel both secure and supported while maintaining a fair and lawful immigration system? So explain also how are you seeing ICE? I mean, I saw you all over the TV, sir. You famous in Connecticut. I said, Lord, he done on the TV, in the paper, everywhere, speaking out against this. So tell us how ICE coming into Connecticut has affected you all, and what do you plan to go to Congress to do to prevent this from happening again?
So abolishing ICE, there should not be ICE agents in our state. I would lobby the governor to not allow ICE agents in any. And there's already a bill in the Congress that is trying to prevent ICE agents from being at courthouses, schools, churches, and sensitive locations. I would like to see our state government push for ICE nowhere. That if ICE is conducting any of these activities, that they'll be met by our police force, who will arrest them and process them as the criminals that they are. For me, a lot of it is a moral issue. Immigrants built this country. Immigrants provide. Okay, so a lot of times people aren't necessarily moved by the moral argument, and I get it to an extent. But if you want to make it a monetary argument, the Cato Institute, which is a right-leaning institute, actually showed that immigrants, I don't remember the exact numbers. I think it's like, I think immigrants provide, since 93 to 2024, have provided like $50 trillion worth of economic activity and have only received like $30 trillion in government benefits. And so immigrants provide us a net benefit of like, $20 trillion over the past couple of decades. And so they have already proven time and time again that they are a net benefit to our society. And, a lot of these people, even when they overstay their visas, they've been here for 10, 15 years. They are Americans at heart. And so we shouldn't be sending these people back to places that they don't have any connection to, they have no family with. We need pathways to citizenship. And so, a lot of people talk about, the upcoming labor shortages and the birth rates falling. So again, if you want to think of the long-term survival of the American, way of life, and ensuring that we have people that are paying to the system, especially as the boomers start aging into retirement, we should be welcoming all of these young, fit immigrants who are providing great benefits to society. And at the end of the day, more of these immigrants pay more into the system than people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and all these oligarch billionaires. And, I don't remember seeing anywhere in the pedophiles that showed immigrants being
the P-files.
The P-files.
TikTok don't like the word either.
The PDFs. I have not seen any immigrants, populations showing up in the PDFs. All of these rich billionaire white people at the top of the chain, they all seem to be in these PDFs. So I'm not scared about the immigrant down the street. I'm scared of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and who's that Microsoft guy, Bill Gates. Not paying into the system while exploiting the working class that got them the wealth that they sit on.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more than that. I often say it too, that why did them people have to become the boogeyman? But that's the way this country has run since its inception, that somebody has to be the boogeyman. And right now, I guess it's the immigrant. And yet we don't see what they are claiming is the problem in no way, shape, or form. They're not doing anything to our children. They're not doing anything to our educational system. They're not doing anything to our health system. They're not doing anything to our housing. They're not raising my rent.
Oh, no, the private equity companies are raising your rent by snatching up all of these properties, not putting them back into the market, and then selling a lot of them to shell companies that artificially raise the housing prices. Then that raises everyone's property taxes. And then that raises rent because now people can't afford to buy homes. They have to stay as renters, and they can raise the rent because what are you going to do? Go get a home that you can't afford? No, you're going to pay that extra in rent. Yeah. And probably have to, get rid of your health insurance to pay for your housing.
Yeah. Because, and you get stuck in that because in order to go somewhere else, you have to come up with first month's rent and a deposit, plus maybe an application fee and an administration fee. So you just like, I might as well pay the extra $300 and stay where I guarantee have a roof. So yeah, that's the American way there. Andrew, this has been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We are going to go into our closing questions. My first question to you, is there anything that we did not touch on tonight that you feel needs to be discussed?
Yes, we are living in a overt fascist society. These are radical times, and radical times call for radical measures. And one of the most radical things that people can do in a fascist society is to love themselves and to love their neighbor. Love is more powerful than hate, and Big Bunny had it on his sign at the Super Bowl. The only thing more powerful than hate is love, and it starts with loving yourself. If you cannot love yourself, it is very hard to love other people. So first and foremost, self-love. Second, I am a gay man, and there was a saying in the '80s that gay people used to say that we would bury our friends in the morning, protest in the afternoon, and dance all night. And it was the dance we fought for because it was the dance that gave us the strength to protest another day. That's a lot of words. And so I'm also a big person. I love alliteration. So I have a saying that fun fights fascism. So self-love and have fun, because we need both of those to keep ourselves grounded and to give ourselves the strength and energy to continue to fight another day.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm going to live by that. Self-love and fun. You can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. My second question, that if elected, what is the first major issue you would like to tackle at the House of Representatives? And how would your leadership style ensure voices of everyday residents, not lobbyists or party outside insiders, guide your decisions in the House of Representatives?
And so, as just a sworn duty of the Congress, the first thing that I would do is sign articles of impeachment against Donald J. Trump and members of his administration. Because if we are going to have a co-equal branch of government, they need to uphold their oath to the Constitution to hold this president accountable for his crimes against humanity and his crimes against the Constitution. Beyond that, universal health care. We need to push for universal health care. It is time. People should not be going into medical debt. People should not be dying. People should not be losing their teeth and their vision because those somehow are not linked to health care. That is just the first and foremost, is we need to ensure that people can see a doctor and not go into crazy amount of debt doing so.
Absolutely. Last question, looking forward 5 to 10 years. What is your long-term vision for your district? How do you hope residents will be able to look back on your service and say their lives and communities were improved because you represented them?
So I would like to see our district have a scaled up and integrated public transit system that is linked to high-speed rail that can get people moved quickly between New York to New Haven to Boston to Providence, Hartford, Springfield, and to have public education within those communities that allow people to move away from having cars. And mobility is one of the biggest issues in getting out of, your economic status, having the mobility to go from your house to a position. And then also, pushing for things like work from home and remote work so that more people have more economic opportunity. Because as we've seen in other countries, when they do have well-integrated scaled public transit systems, there is a net economic boom for the entire surrounding area. And so if we can provide that for people, we can increase the economic incentives that would bring people into this district. We can increase the economic activity of this district. That would give us more tax revenue. And that is just more money that we can reinvest back into communities, back into our schools, back into childcare facilities, back into elder care facilities, and make sure that we have a society that is taking care of the small people, of the working class people, and not just a system that is here to appease the oligarch PDF class.
I couldn't agree with you more. I appreciated this conversation today, Andrew. It is such a pleasure. If I was a resident of Connecticut's 3rd District, you would have my vote, sir.
Well,
But
I
unfortunately,
appreciate that.
that's what I want you to do. Look at this. Look at that. That is
I
cute.
don't know how that happened, but I loved it.
Oh, well, that was your gift given to you by
Oh,
our
thank you.
lovely Sianka, and she loves to put hats and stuff on people. But this is also a reform I am pushing for, that we should be able to vote for everybody.
I would love your vote.
I want to pick who's in Texas and who's in California and who's in Maine. I want to pick all of those people for the Congress. So, but
I mean,
unfortunately,
having us on your show is a huge first step, and so thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for having me on, asking me questions, having some fun, because fun fights fascism. So I
exactly.
really appreciate this. I appreciate everyone that's been watching, their questions. If you have anything else that you want to ask, you can always go to my website, www.riceforct.com. There's a place to answer questions. You can sign up to volunteer. You can sign up for our newsletter. Donations are always appreciated, especially running a grassroots campaign. We need working class people to fuel working class campaign. So I appreciate everything all around. This has been great.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Now, you can stick around. I mean, we're coming right back. We have another show, another town hall at 8:00, because we are doing this thing. We are featuring as many people as we can, in order to make sure we get the right people in the right spots. So our next upcoming town hall will be with Deborah Howard, and she is running for Arizona State House seat for District 27 in Arizona, a state house. So you're going to the federal. She's trying to make changes in the state. So
we need changes everywhere.
We do.
And for anyone who's watching, you might not think that you can serve in office. You can. And you can make a big difference even at the local level. If anything, it's the local level where the biggest differences are made.
Absolutely. Now, what we also do, or we try to do, is we have our roundtables. So our roundtables are every other Sunday. And the next one is coming up this Sunday, which is March 15th. And what we do is we have candidates like yourself come, and we ask questions, we have conversation. Our goal is to get y'all all on the same page before y'all head into this Capitol, and everybody knows exactly what the plan is. So we could go in and make the changes necessary. So we look for that invite for the round table. Now, to the audience out there, and anyone, even you, Andrew, if you want to come and interview other candidates, we are looking for moderators to do what I'm doing and speak to these candidates, help them platform themselves. So if you're interested, please DM us, and we'll love to have you as part of the team. There is training, there is guidance to what to do. So we won't just throw you out there. You will get shown what exactly to do. And so if you think you speak well, you can read well, because we're going to give you the information. Please sign up, go in the DMs, and you could be a part of the team. I, again, appreciate each and every one of you for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Andrew. It has been such a pleasure. Let me remind you and everyone else of who we are. We are Our Vote Counts, a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, like Mr. Andrew, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we're building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. So make sure you join us, because your vote is your power. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Yoshi.
Thank you, Mel.
Yoshi, for loaning us your daddy tonight.
I'll let him know. He's probably depressed somewhere because I'm not paying him attention.
Exactly. Thank you all. We'll see y'all at 8:00. Y'all have a good night.
Take care, everyone. Thank you so much, Mel.
All right.